Welcome to another edition of Blue Demon Exchange. I'm Gene Honda, public address announcer for DePaul men's basketball. And once again, we welcome Director of Athletics, DeWayne Peevy. So we got to find out a little bit about your transition into the program. What's the first thing now that you want to do with the program, sir?
I think the biggest thing is getting us back to playing games. My first week in town, seeing our student athletes for the first time, getting excited about practicing, training. I know getting back to participating in sports and actually playing contests and games is at the forefront of what we need to get done. And so my role as one of the athletic directors in the Big East, a lot of meetings from a conference level, really concentrating on how we can get our winter sports going, starting with men and women's basketball.
Yeah, and part of that is not just your decision. A lot of that has to come from not just the Big East, but some of the other conferences you get to work with, right?
Right. The good thing about my background is being involved with so many leagues and talking to Commissioner Ackerman, my contacts at the NCAA office in basketball, my former boss is the chair of the selection committee. We're all trying to figure this out together. Now we have a first date for possible playing date for November 25th for men and women's basketball. Now it's about how do we work to get there, and what's going on in fall sports and other leagues across the country are helping with that, along with what's going on the professional level. But it's a lot of conversations, a lot of decisions that need to be made, and having the flexibility to adjust to what this pandemic does to our country.
Yeah, because a lot of the pressure that people put upon the individual directors of athletics, it really isn't up to you in a lot of these situations, is it?
Right. I mean, I think about some of the things that, in particular, we're trying to do with basketball here in Chicago, working on some scheduling type events. Now, obviously, we might not have fans, or we might have a limited capacity. And so a little different challenge. But what is the best way for us to make sure that we can compete right away in the first week that we're allowed in November? I've talked to a lot of athletics directors around the country, especially in this area, the state and the citywide. And I think there is a common ground that we can work out to try to make sure that we have a basketball season, because that's our focus right now, is the winter sports.
You talked about men's basketball. They've seen some improvements over the last few seasons. What's your role, and what can be done to sustain or improve from there?
I think to combine efforts with Coach Lato and his staff and what they brought to the table so far. We have a great recruiting class coming up for this next season, and maintaining that, getting that signability here pretty quickly. But what I'm bringing in is a dynamic of being at the highest level of men's basketball. What are some of the little things behind the scenes that we have seen impact recruiting? And how do I help bridge those gaps to allow DePaul to have those elements as part of our program looking forward? And realize there's things that, his experience, what he can bring to the table, the pro element where our young people are trying to achieve. That's a different dynamic that I'm able to bring in from my time at Kentucky, the things that have been very particular for that 5-star kid that we're not getting right now. How do I bring those elements to the table? That's the impact that I feel like I can bring immediately, the understanding. And so the DePaul plan going forward would have both of those experience levels from us both, between Coach Lato and myself, to be able to put us in a much better situation.
Now, you used a great term just then, the DePaul Plan.
Right.
That's interesting. You want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, obviously we're in the development stages. I haven't been on the job for 30 days. But I think that's one of the things where, Gene, the biggest thing for me is that I've got some ideas and thoughts that my 23 years of experience have brought to the table here. But I need to get a little more of a blue demon tint to those plans. And so I'm going to spend the first 90 days on this job while I'm trying to make things happen immediately, but really evaluating and adjusting my thoughts, my personal thoughts, to be more DePaul's thoughts and plans. And we have 10 dynamic head coaches that have got thoughts and dreams as well. And as I've integrated those thoughts into mine, it's really changing the big picture of some of the things that I thought we would look like in 2021. And so as I'm evaluating that and continue, you'll definitely know about the DePaul plan and what we plan to accomplish here in our future.
Because as much as people were impressed with your credentials coming into the job, what it sounds like is that you want to take a close look and see what's special about DePaul.
Right. I know I saw it from the outside because it attracted me here, just like we're trying to attract young people. But what are the things that we can accentuate more of the positives that maybe because you're here and it's just the way it's been, you don't see it as that big a deal? Well, I'm from the outside and I give a different view, and I can tell the things that, man, that attracted me here that like you don't realize this is a really good thing. You know, I went to Wintrust Arena. That's going to be one of the best venues you're going to ever step in. But just understanding what we do have as huge positives here on our Lincoln Park campus, that maybe because you've been here, you don't realize that everybody doesn't have that. And so I think it'll be a back and forth. Things I think we need to add, but also, hey, we need to make this a bigger deal to people to understand the things that we do. One of the things I saw up front is that we've got to show our recruits more Lincoln Park in this community here. Because a lot of them, if you don't come to a visit right now where we're not going to homes and they're not coming to campus, we've done a great job with the virtual tours, being able to show people what it looks like coming into this community and where our campus is and what the students will be a part of. I think that'll resonate with these young people and these parents.
We got to talk about Coach Lato. You also have Coach Bruno, who's had great success in the Big East and was on the verge of being back in the NCAA tournament back in March before everything closed down. So how do you help them get to another step forward?
I think the challenge for Coach Bruno and his staff is a little different because of the success they've had. I think the thing for him is, how do I help him see a bigger picture and get to a point where we're a second weekend participant in the NCAA tournament and get him to that first Final Four and go win a championship? So how do we challenge ourselves? And it's probably going to be where I think the biggest thing to helping him is our scheduling dynamic for women's basketball, because he wants to go out there and play the best of the best, right? And it might be us putting together an event with some of the partners or relationships I have to put together one of the best national women's basketball events in the country annually that we're a part of. But also from a branding standpoint, what he's done here, Hall of Famer, the result speaks for itself. But I don't think we're quite getting that just due to think about DePaul women's basketball on that national stage. And that's going to be my job to get us in a better spot there.
I know we've talked about men's and women's basketball, but now looking at the program in total, I want to go back to something you said in one of your other interviews, and that was, it's not just making the NCAA tournament. I'm here that we win championships, right?
And that's what we're trying to create, an environment where the NCAA tournament and postseason is the floor. Talking to each of our 10 coaches, they see that. They understand that challenge. We have won a ton of Big East championships. There's a lot of trophies. I'm ready to integrate some of those wooden trophies inside there too, which are from the NCAA championships and regional championships and national championships. And to get there, we can no longer look at winning just our conference or getting to the NCAA tournament as the ceiling. That needs to be the floor, so that way we can start advancing in those tournaments. But that takes a lot. We've been able to accomplish a lot with a little. So if we can get to a point where we're not starting out with our backs against the wall, taking a step forward, imagine the success we can have in all 15 sports at DePaul.
Before we give you a chance to go back to continue dreaming big, I still like the idea of trying to meet DeWayne Peevy, the person.
Okay.
I think we got cheated with a 30-second shot clock on the first go-around of rapid-fire questions. So I'm going to take my time and give you a chance to take your time, but we're going back to the questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to hit you with the hard one first. Are you ready? Cake or pie?
Pie.
Okay. Texting or talking?
I'd probably say texting.
What's your favorite TV show?
On that one, as a kid, it was Super Friends.
Okay.
But now, I probably say my favorite TV show is probably more watching, probably like Sports Center, really.
Understandable. Favorite movie of all time?
Indiana Jones series.
I think he's got several there. He's picking a bunch of them. Favorite meal: breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
I love breakfast for dinner. Like
See,
breakfast, I love eating breakfast, but But having breakfast for dinner, when my wife says that, she probably thinks she's disappointed me more than any person on earth, but I'm always so excited.
So is there a favorite breakfast too?
Well, I grew up more like pancakes kind of person, but now I really appreciate more like, bacon and eggs. I'm still a little Southern grits. I still got that in my system, but you can't go wrong with breakfast food. I like everything.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Predict the future.
All right. Speaking of that, then, please describe yourself in 3 words.
Honesty, integrity, dreamer.
And now I'm going to give you a chance to turn the tables. We've all said welcome to DeWayne Peevy.
Okay.
I'd like to give you the opportunity to welcome everyone to the next phase of DePaul athletics.
That's great. Well, to all our Blue Demons out there, be ready to join us on this ride. It's time to dream big, and I'm looking for members of the new dream team for new DePaul athletics. Let's do this together. Go Blue Demons.
And we look forward to more episodes of Blue Demon Exchange with you. So now I get to say welcome, and I get to say thank you. And we look forward to seeing you and some other people from DePaul Athletics who are big dreamers on our next episode of Blue Demon Exchange. I'm Gene Honda. Thank you for joining us, and go Blue Demons.
Thanks, Gene.